We continue building our narrative through the visual backdrops as we look on to the next one, which is Green the Grid. India's clean energy transition is advancing at an unprecedented scale, with over 50% of installed power capacity already coming from non-fossil fuel sources, 5 years ahead of the 2030 target. With an ambition of reaching 500 gigawatts of non-fossil energy by 2030, India is positioning itself as global leader in sustainable infrastructure at scale. Let's take a look. And we know sustainability is no longer a parallel conversation to hospitality, it is central to its growth. Which brings us to our next session, because as the landscape shifts, the big question now is, will what brought us here take us there? Addressing the next growth opportunities brings together regional leaders of global hotel companies to discuss expansion priorities, evolving operating models, and the strategies that will define industry's next phase of growth. Let's put our hands together to welcome a very distinguished lineup of panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Nikhil Sharma from Radisson, Ms. Ranju Alex from Accor, Mr. Sudeep Jain from IAG, Mr. Sanjay Sharma from Hyatt India, Mr. Zubin Saxena from Hilton, and Akash Datta, drawing the best out of each one of them.
Thank you.
Yes, hello.
Well, excellent. Wow, that was a great session with Mark, right? And I think it befits all of us to sit here next after him and talk about, how growth is really happening for all of us. India clearly is a very compelling growth story. There is, over the last decade, on the back of scale, standardization, and discipline, we have reached where we are today. But it is coming with a lot of other complexities, which a lot of us are having to deal with today. So the question remains, is the playbook that we used in the past going to take us forward? Starting with you, Nikhil, what do you feel structurally different in this growth cycle than you did 5 years ago?
So Akash, before we start, they say change is the only constant, and we're in the 4th session today. And the only constant in 3 of those sessions has been Hyatt. So Sanjay, kudos for that.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah?
No, amazing. I think, Akash, to your point, in the last 5 years, at least us as an organization, first, it was capital-led and supply-driven in the last 5 years. What's really changed is now it's demand-led and I would say balance sheet conscious, because we're conscious of the right assets. We're not really chasing growth for the rate of chasing growth, but we want to get the right assets and make sure owner alignment, commercial focus, and operational efficiencies move forward for us.
Ranju, from your vantage point, do you see it similarly playing out for you as well, where discipline and growth are going hand in hand?
I think today, in some ways, we feel that, yes, we are solving for the demand. But I think on a lighter note, the first thing is that all of us know India better because we are building and signing hotels in places that we did not even know that was existent. And so that's the great news. I think some of the habits continue where tier 1 cities continue to get more eyeballs and limelight. But the good news is that tier 2, 3, 4 cities are now also slowly inching their way into strategies of companies. And so I think it's an overall piece. How is it different? Well, we are riding the wave of India's economic growth, and each company is slowly charting their way into the values that that company believes in. So for us at Accor, we believe in value, creating value, not just doing numbers.
Right.
So every company, you can now see all hotel companies are now charting their territory in a manner where they see a long-term growth, and which is slightly different to the other. 10 years back, all companies were doing almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Today, all companies are thinking slightly differently and trying to get their characteristic or the differential aspect into their strategy.
So are there any assumptions that you've had to rethink, given the current growth?
Of course, we are trying to build today, whatever hotels we sign or we talk about, we are trying to build for India's tomorrow. Whether it works or not is something that remains to be seen. It is something in the future. We think this will work in the future. We are building hotels in cities we think will be a futuristic business hub. But that has to go hand in hand with the infrastructural growth. When we go to a tier 3 or a 4 city, the first thing we actually go onto the table and wonder if infrastructure is going to be strong around that place. We talk the governments, we talk the ruling government in that state, we talk about all the dynamics, and then we take an informed call to sign a hotel there. It's based on a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
And we just hope that in 4 or 5 years, those assumptions come true. Given the way India is behaving right now, well, we are pretty confident.
Excellent. Sudeep, coming to you. So taking a leaf from what Ranju just said, are we taking, is the fundamental risk assumptions changing dramatically going forward, or are we still looking at past evidences?
So I think, there are certain things which are constant, at least for us at IG, in the sense that when you're evaluating a product, because we are in the asset-light model, the fundamental that whatever you do has to make money for the owner, it has to make money for you, does not change. That's been there 20 years ago, it was there 10 years ago, it's true 5 years ago, it'll be true next 5 years, it'll be true next 20 years, right? I don't think that's going to change, and hopefully it remains constant. I think the second thing which has not changed as a sort of, let's call it Newton's law of development or something, right, is the fact that you've got to evolve with the times, right? I moved back into this country in 2008, and that time also it was quite buoyant. GFC had not really hit at that time. But I think what's different is what the assumptions we were using then and what the assumptions we're using now are very different. So if the first questions were political stability, today that's national political stability. Right. That's not a question which we ask anymore. The question of accessibility is not a question we ask anymore, right? Because you're like, oh, airports are opening, trains are opening, railways are being built, roadways are being built, right? The question of will you get the rate, right? Because I think there was always this thought, oh, below 100 rooms, we won't do a hotel. Below 150 rooms, we won't do a hotel. That's changed, right? Oh, Indian designers don't work because they don't understand how to do hotels, right? We don't ask that question anymore. So a lot of those fundamental questions which happen on a day-to-day basis have dramatically changed, right? What's also changed, because I think most of the companies have adapted, is the different models we use. Historically, 10 years in 2008, it was only management contracts by the international operators. That was it, except maybe one or few which were doing some franchising. And everybody else used to say, how can you do franchising in the market? Today, that assumption has changed, right? I think going in the future, that is going to change and evolve very quickly, just like it has done elsewhere in the world. The difference in my mind is the pace of change which is happening today is probably 20 times faster than the pace of change which was happening back 20 years ago, right? So the level of adaptability which you've got to do is got to be quicker. You have to be a lot more nimble. All of those things are true. Yeah. Now, 20 years ago again, or like 18 years ago, talent was not a question in your mind. You said, I can get talent. In fact, all of us that relied on existing hotel talent and senior leadership talent which existed in India. They all came from Oberoi, ITC, Taj, right? I think today, that is one of the biggest questions right in our minds going forward. So I think, but at the high level, the fundamentals have not changed. Yeah. Will there be demand to fill your hotel rooms? Is there going to be return capital for the owners? Will you be able to fill the hotels? And then models have changed, right? Do I really need that big holiday dining? Do I need a club lounge here and there? Do I need 10 spa treatment rooms? Or some of those rooms are being
Sure.
challenged.
So I hear that growth is strong,
Yeah.
right? And that's clear.
Yeah.
But are there any factors that we are missing out on our assumptions? Are there any risk parameters that we are overlooking at this point in time that may,
See, I think if you
be
go
aware
back
of?
in 2008, when you were doing your underwriting, you were being very conservative, naturally. Or will there be this? All the questions were being asked, which were very much more, how do I mitigate this risk and so on. Today, the confidence level is higher, so the questions being asked is not on the conservative side, saying, are you projecting too much? Listen, let's be realistic. At the pace of growth, India is growing 7%, big economy, the demographic, all what we heard yesterday. No matter what you underwrite today, in 5 years, you're going to be wrong. No matter what you do, you will be wrong, right? So the issue is that we came from this side of the fence earlier. It says, oh, no, I'm not sure. Am I really right? Let me bring it down a little. Today, you're saying anything else. And this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 city, what? I was a consultant back then, 2008, when we did the underwriting for Aerocity. I can tell you, in hindsight, everyone was wrong. Everyone. And not wrong by 1 or 2, 10x.
Certainly, yeah. Clearly that's played out very well.
And we have been conservative. So today, if you're wrong 10x, if you project that in locations like that going forward, I can guarantee we'll be 10x wrong again.
So Zubin, opportunity is strong, right? But where are the tension points really? Is it growth and discipline? Is it standardization versus localization? Or is it experience versus efficiency? And where do you see a lot more of these tension points emerging from a growth perspective?
Akash, there are a lot of tension points, and all of the points that you said are each and every one of those are, you call them tension points, I call them important factors that we need to address as managers for our businesses. I think from our perspective and from where our business is at Hilton in this market, we are very careful about, there are two factors. There is the scale, and then there has to be the quality in the scale. And I think balancing those two together is, from our perspective, one of the biggest factors, biggest considerations in the business that we are growing. So, it's not only about distribution bandwidth, it is about distribution bandwidth. And that's where we are playing all the way from the ultra-luxury segment with the third Waldorf Astoria opening in Goa, signed in and announced yesterday, will open in about 4 to 5 years, to all the way, down to the premium economy segment where over the last 2 years or so, we have, announced the Spark platform and the Hampton platform in the mid-market segment. So the development bandwidth and the scale opportunity for us is something which there's a white space, and we have a very disciplined strategy to achieve it, right? I think to answer your question, from our perspective, and you call it attention, I call it a very pragmatic approach towards how we want to grow this business in a disciplined way. We want to be very disciplined about the brands we are growing and the locations they are in and the quality of the portfolio, which we are extremely proud of what's coming up in the next 3 to 5 years. So, that is a key focus area for us, will always be a key focus area for us now, and I would say even in the future, because ultimately in 5 years, 90% of the Hilton portfolio is going to be brand new. By the way, it's also going to be brand defining in fantastic locations, right? And that's how this portfolio is going to grow. Not only in the ultra luxury space or the full service space, all the way down to premium economy, right hotels, right markets, right products, right locations, very, very important, right? So I will not go beyond this on this point, but I think the other tension that's really coming up in our business, for all of us on this panel and the industry as such, the way we are designing hotels, right? We need to be futuristic and see whether we will have enough people to run those hotels. manpower and scaling is going to be our biggest challenge coming up. We are already talking about it. Look at the attrition rates in the hotels. Look at the availability of talent in our properties. If India has crossed the milestone number of 100,000 rooms under development, right? So I think the psychological bias has now gone, right? At the same time, India as a market is smaller than Las Vegas, right? So the bandwidth to grow is humongous ahead of us, right? So I think we will have to become very smart with using the right mechanics and the right intelligence and the AI and the tools, to manage that business and, basically relook at how our entire operations are run.
Interesting. Sanjay, at what point does ambition start to dilute positioning?
Okay, great question. I think before that, I'll address it very differently. I think everybody has spoken about how it is, what has changed and what we are doing. I would address it, what is the impact on India? We're sitting here, what is the impact of all what we spoke about on India? So what has happened is that India has seen now as a strategic engine for growth for all the brands. There is a lot of competitive intensity. So with that, what people are looking at, the spectrum has become much larger. It has also opened channels for the franchise operations. So look what it has done for India. So we were talking about food and beverage, right? I'll give you an example from food and beverage. Earlier, if you go to a restaurant, for example, and you see the menu, you see the main dishes, and you see those side dishes, right? India was placed on the side dishes for brand. Today, not only has India come into the main menu, it has actually become the recommended and also the signature item in the landscape of brands, whether it is global or domestic. So that's the impact of what's going on in India, right? So it's like, thank you. So that's the impact. It's a very simple example. Being from a side dish to the main menu and the signature and the recommended item of that place. So that's what's going on, right? Now, when you look at it, the question you asked, it's about also yin and yang. We have what we have, and we need to see what's available. Now, instead of fighting it, if we approach it from a yin and yang perspective and see how we can fit together, look at the kind of momentum we can create. So we need to look at from a very different mindset. We need to change our mindsets, how we used to do things, how we can look very, very differently, have out-of-box approaches for various destinations. We need to see not like we need to look internally and see how do we provide justice to that destination with which brand of ours. And that will fuel different brands to look differently and get various brands. Hyatt is going through a brand-led approach. Why has it happened? It has happened because of this, right? So that's something which is really going on. The other thing I think which Mark alluded to in his interaction, something which is really changing. We spoke about talent. We spoke about we have a dearth of talent. I think if we go deeper into it, what we need to solve is we are solving, all of us, consumer expectations from our guests. We need to focus more, and Mark alluded to that, on our colleague expectations. What is a person, what is a new entrant, what is a new family member of whichever brand, like for Hyatt brand, what are their expectations to come into our industry and stay there? The issue is about attrition. So we need to think very, very differently, not only from a consumer expectation, but a colleague expectations as well, and we need to solve them equally. It can't be one or the other.
I agree with what Sanjay. I would just like to add with an example. We put high attritions. Look at our hotel management institutes, 50%, 40% subscription rate. By the time they graduate, there's maybe 10% left for the industry, right? The perception of this industry in India needs to change, right? And we have to change it ourselves. And, impression is long working hours, work-life balance, no work-life balance, and all of that. I don't necessarily think we're putting out the right narrative, right? And I would like some of us to be, when we are going to the college campuses and making, our selection rounds, I think we need to put out the opportunity in the right context of maybe an engineering graduate who's graduating from college, and then his first job is actually standing in a steel furnace for 12 hours a day. How does this compare to that? I think, that across the industries, we have to, to address the attrition issue, we have to put out the right perspective, which I don't think is being put out the way it needs to be put out.
Sure.
I'll just, I had a very eye-opening moment when I had the honor of meeting our Prime Minister Modi a couple of years back. He asked me a question, Ranju ji, बोलिए हमारे देश में कितने द्वीप हैं? And I was sheepish because I did not know. And I said 60, 70. In my mind, I was giving a big number. Do you know India has 1,300 islands? 1,300.
That is
And
significant.
he told me that our biggest island is as big as Singapore. And he told us about his aspirations to make that an island where the entire film fraternity moves in. So we have the Bollywood and we have the Tollywood and we have the Collywood, and all of that put together could move in there, and he was planning to do an infrastructural change there. Look at the canvas. How many of us sitting here even know what India has? And that's why I say that our owner community is here, and we are here as operators and owners as well. And I think the blend has to be to paint that canvas with colors that the world hasn't seen before. And this is just the beginning.
I think the biggest tension in the room is, Akash, to your question, we need to be a lot more open-minded about the future. We are conditioned to be looking down a tunnel, and we only see a certain view of the world. And that window now needs to really open up. That's going to be the real India shining story. And that's a tension we need to play to.
Clearly. Jai Hind,
Jai Hind.
absolutely. So, Nikhil, tell me, Shubin spoke about talent, Ranju spoke about destinations. Is there a risk in overdeveloping and entering these locations faster than they're prepared for us to develop? And is there, further to that, a talent mismatch to these, for us to enter these locations?
So Akash, firstly, our development team is running with a treadmill that doesn't have a stop button, right? And it's true for most of the brands sitting here, right? And they're doing a phenomenal job. And as an operator, you're right. One thing that does keep me awake at night is there some micro markets that in the near future may have too much of inventory, thereby leading to lower ADRs and more stress? That's the first piece. On the talent, I think Ragini Chopra is here, Mr. Kachru is here. They're doing a lot on skilling. So I think we need to start looking at beyond the IHMs. While most of us are supporting IHMs in one way or the other, we need to go to the skilling and the lower levels to ensure that the balance or the baseline talent is available for us as we grow, right? That's the second piece. Though at the moment ANG and FT counts or manpower counts in our country are not that important because mostly we are within 16, 18% of wage bill for most brands, right? But we need to be leaner, and we need to be leaner with better technology, thereby paying our base level and the teams better salaries. So that's something that I think all of us need to be conscious and need to work towards. We all become comfortable, 1.2, 1.8, F&B zyada hai, oh, it's okay. But the reality is that we need to be leaner like the rest of the world, and that needs to change.
So, yeah. So Sudeep, I mean, here talent is clearly one tension point for all of us as growth comes forward. But are we prepared to look outside the box, really? I hear that there is we need to go to our universities, we need to train the people, we need the general public to accept who we are a lot more. But is that the only direction that we need to take, or do we need to really think out of the box? Technology clearly does provide some relief, but is there more that we can do to make sure that the growth that we are all seeking continues to sustain itself forward?
From a talent perspective or from overall?
Outside, thinking out of the box.
So, as I said earlier, I think that will require us to rethink some of our models, right? Whether it be, as Nikhil was saying, staffing models of ratios, right? Whether it thinks about what is acceptable from a guest experience perspective, self-driven, or, in a lot of other places, the check-in on your mobile phone is very well adopted. Today, it's not in India, So I think a lot of that will be also, so I would divide it into three kind of buckets, right? One which is customer facing, one which is non-customer facing at the property, and third is, I would say, the corporate functions, right? Be it revenue management, be it sales, and so on and so forth, right? If you look at the customer-facing aspects, I don't think there's going to be significant change in terms of ratios or so on, and that will be more dominated in India, specifically by the consumer of the beds in our hotels, right? So tomorrow, no matter what, 3 generations later also, and you lay a buffet, people expect the food to come to your table, right? That's not what a buffet is supposed to be. And I don't think, any one of us is not going to provide that, right? Because you will have irate customers. So till the time the customer preferences don't change, I think we're not going to lead that change. Certainly I'm not, right? The second aspect, which is back of the house in the hotels, there's certain functions you can't make it more efficient. How do you make dishwashing more efficient? I'm sorry, right? There are certain aspects which you can and you should, right? Given some, better SOPs, can the person doing housekeeping spend, instead of X number of minutes, X minus number of minutes to do it, right? And so on and so forth, without putting a lot of pressure from a work-life balance perspective or not killing the person. I think the biggest change is going to come in the corporate functions, right? Where AI, technology, things like that are going to make a huge difference, right? You heard Ellie talk about it in the video already that, a lot of our revenue management is now machine learned, AI driven. And I think if you look at the pace of that growth, I think it'll pretty much be predominantly that in a couple of years, right? Sales, you can't do that. Unfortunately, you need, in India at the moment, you still need human to human.
I understand, and on that point of customer coming in and the touch points that we all look to provide, right? All of us have Digi Yatra on our phones. A lot of it has become seamless for us to enter, take the plane and travel. But it's still at hotels. We continue to check in the same way, really, predominantly, even though we all have our phones ready. And so, Sanjay, I wanted to ask you this, right? Is standardization what led us to here where we are over the last 5 years, being an impediment for us to change and adapt ourselves going forward?
Sure. I'll answer that. I'll just pick up one point before that. I think on a colleague expectation and new talent, which is, because this is something really important. If we don't solve this, I don't think we can expand as we want, but to really give the experience won't happen. So there is something which starts at the process when we are welcoming new colleagues and when we are interviewing them. I think we need to look at whether it is a need to do or a want to do. So I'll address it with need and want, right? When you get somebody who needs to do it, you won't buy the person in because you need that person to want to do it. And as soon as you have that person or that colleague of yours want to do that thing in the hotel, that means it's coming from within and he's enjoying it. And you do best what you enjoy. So I think it starts from our mindset. With what mindset are we going ahead and welcoming somebody in the family? So that's something which we need to be very careful on. On the standardization and in hotels, I think that's the question, right?
Yeah, Karbi.
So I think tech is an enabler. Standardization needs to be looked at what is acceptable or what is kind of welcomed in the, in the locale where you are, and how you can modify or kind of tune it to where you are. And it could be city to city. It could be state to state. Because what may be all right in Delhi or North India may not be okay in South of India. We are a vast country, right? So many states. And our expectations, our sensitivities, our ego levels are very different from a guest perspective, from a colleague perspective, and also from the expectations of both of them. So we need to see what is that standardization, and we should not limit ourselves with that. We should see how we can absorb that standardization in a tailor-made, custom-made solution in that locality, specifically India, where the thought process, mindset, and local cultures influence everything.
I think I'd just like to add to that to some extent. I think what will be standardized is the processes. You can't standardize the guest service and so on, and I think you have to take into account the fact that the next 5 years of growth or next 10 years of growth is going to be in all tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. What happens, forget, and as Sanjay was pointing out, India is not one India, and you've heard that over the last 2 days. There's multiple places with India. But add to that the complexity of multiple tiers, right? When you go to a tier 4 city, you're not going to have a 5-star hotel. You may not, right? True. You'll likely have the mid-scale hotel being the best hotel of that city. You cannot provide the services what you're providing in a mid-tier hotel and a tier 1 in that hotel. It won't work. It just won't work. But your processes will still be the same. Delight the guest, right? Go above and beyond. Make sure you're doing whatever you can. Aim higher, right? Whatever those principles will be the same. But the way you deliver it has to be different. Because if you try to do one size fits all because it's India, keep in mind you'll fail in 999 of them because it's not one.
Yeah, standardization without the right localization will never work.
So the only thing I'll add, Ruben, is that even in tier 3, tier 4 cities, you need the F&B component.
100%.
In India. That's very different from global cities. Even for a mid-scale hotel or economy hotel in this part
I
of the
think
world.
that's a misnomer. I think I agree with you. I'm not saying I disagree with you. But I think that has a lot of layers to it.
Absolutely.
And it depends what segment you are playing in and what price band and what guest you are catering to. There is a guest who is just seeking a very, simple level of stay, right? And in that premium economy, yes, breakfast is always important, right? But maybe you don't need to have that specialized restaurant in all hotels, right? So
Absolutely.
so I think that's
so localized versus standardized, right?
No, and add another
not
complexity.
localized. Standardization has to be seen within the lens of localization.
Yes.
Meaning, let us standardize the good things. Meaning, let's look at a standardized bedding package. Let's look at standardized bath, right? Standardized breakfast, standardized welcome. Those kind of things. But once the little nuances of the stay have to be localized. For instance, you cannot be serving alcohol in certain religious markets. You cannot, as a brand, say, I will be serving alcohol in this market when you just cannot do that.
Or non-veg food.
So, some of us have seen the days when brands have walked away from those markets saying, this is our brand standard and we will not do it. I think we have to, and again, from then to now, there's already a great deal of reality that is set in.
Also,
keep
when
in mind
a
one-
customer books a room, right from that screen in front of his laptop or computer or phone, there is a standardization that has already started. The journey of standardization has already started. Brands, the customer's booking you because the brand offers you a particular standard, and that's non-negotiable. Yes, to Zubin's point, how can you localize it and make it more flavorful? That's up to the brands to do it. And I think all of us are doing that everywhere. I mean, you see the facade of a hotel in Jaipur is very different to the facade of a hotel in Bombay or Delhi for that instance. I think most brands in India today are doing a fairly good job with that. And so it has to be a play of both. They walk hand in hand.
See, I think one other complexity which you can add to it, today we all impact that experience. In the future, and I think we all made that assumption that we'll be impacting it, we may not, we'll be influencing it, because the world may have changed to franchising in tier 4 cities, which means I'm not really delivering that. I'm influencing the third-party operator or the owner to deliver it, right? But yet we all made the assumption, oh, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that. It may not be, right? So I think when you say the adaptability, that change of adaptability has to come in the mind, come everywhere. I don't think we can fathom or we can accurately fathom that pace of that change. And I think we will, as we move along, we'll keep adapting.
Excellent. So just stepping aside from that, last 5 minutes first panel, 5 years from now, is there anything that you believe we'll be overly conservative about in hindsight?
Sorry, I
Even-
didn't.
so
Overly
5 years from
conservative?
now, right? Do you think that we will end up being a lot more conservative about in hindsight
Then from today.
than from today, where we are?
A lot more conservative in hindsight than from where we are. You mean, what are we aggressive about today, right?
Now, what we are
that-
aggressive today,
Yeah.
that you'll be
Well,
less
That
aggressive.
less
5 years
aggressive
from
or overly conservative about in hindsight, or you think was overly conservative?
I think from a purely a development point of view, and I can tell you the Hilton approach is already that, it is about balanced growth. So, if you're growing in balance, growing with discipline, growing with focus, putting your brand architecture in the right way, in the right place, I don't think there should be any regrets about that later, because all the growth today is going to start coming into the form of actual live hotels, and I think the quality of that has to be, maintained. So that would be my response to your question.
Okay. Do you think there is, given the aggressive plans you're laying out for Accor, Ranju, is there something that worries you that the aggression that you're showing today may be overly conservative 5 years hence, right? And we've all seen examples of how China has grown, right? And we keep saying that India is different from China, but is there some part of that that keeps you worried or awake?
The one thing I'm very proud is that India is a very resilient country. It's like an elastic. You just keep stretching it, and it just keeps adjusting to everything. So I'm very hopeful that we should not be in a position where we are. But the one thing that's changing in hotels, and I think we will be conservative about, is the quality of people that we have in hotels. If you remember, Indian hotels, good hotels from 20 years back, we had a particular profile. I mean, I don't remember seeing a tattooed person in a hotel at that. Today, it's a norm. I mean, it's not norm, I would say it's a practice that nobody bats an eyelid about. So I think it's more the people that's the more changing factor in hotels today. But other than that, no, I would not. We are very elastic in India.
Yeah.
So,
Sanjay?
so I think I have a very different take on this. I think I'll delete the word conservative from my dictionary and replace it with optimistic. India is at an inflection point, right? And I think all of us as leaders need to have an entrepreneur mindset. And when you have an entrepreneur mindset, there is nothing which is conservative. There's nothing stopping you. You have to see, I'm an entrepreneur, and I have to see what is available to me in this market, which we have said unstoppable India, and I don't think it is stopping for the next decade. So I don't honestly see this term conservative is really applicable to India. I would rather be an entrepreneur, wear that hat, and say, okay, there is nothing which is stopping me. I'm not going to be conservative. I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to grab all the opportunities, not only in India, but worldwide. My take is that.
Excellent. Nikhil?
Look, I think we're in a super cycle. So next 5 years, there is only more growth. The only thing I think we've all spoken about is we need to make sure that the talent follows the development velocity, if I can say that, because development will happen. And I don't think it's about large numbers, while we'll all be chasing numbers, I think it's extremely important to have the commercial focus, whether it's the system contribution of more than 50%, the GOP focus, or the operational efficiency focus of more than 50%, GOPs and so on and so forth, to have the right owner alignment, because only then will owners want to grow with you.
Yeah. Sudeep, I actually wanted to ask you, right? So with all of you saying that you're going to be aggressive, right? Let's end with saying, how many hotels are you likely to do over the next 10 years as part of your growth?
So you've heard us here, we put a target at the moment of 400 operating in pipeline next 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have a 10x growth plan, so I would easily imagine us to have at least 300 plus hotels. in the next
700. Yeah. Ranju?
I won't put a number and limit ourselves. Sky is the limit.
Sanjay?
Mark already answered that question, so I don't need to.
Just give that.
Our global CEOs put a target of 500 by 2030.
Okay, so we've got 1,300 hotels coming up for sure, plus a few more.
No, ours is signed and operating, so they're not all necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yes.
He's confusing you now.
Let's be very careful.
Clarity is important.
Because
as well.
that's in our control. The actual opening of the hotel sometimes not always in our control.
Correct.
See,
Excellent.
there's always a disclaimer, at the end of it.
Yeah, we love to put that. But thank you so much for the time. It was great chatting with all of you. And hopefully, we do see the growth that we're all imagining to come our way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akash.